At Cynthia Rogers, MD Dermatology, we specialize in providing comprehensive, expert care for the full spectrum of skin conditions, from complex skin diseases and skin cancer to aging concerns and aesthetic needs. With decades of combined experience in medical, surgical, and aesthetic dermatology, our team brings both deep clinical knowledge and a patient-first approach to every visit. Our practice focuses on developing personalized treatment plans tailored to each individual's skin, health, and life stage. We're located in Port St. Lucie, Florida, in the PSL Professional Center. Learn more or schedule a visit at floridaskindoctor.com.
STEELE Graphics and Designs creates custom racing wraps and logos built for the real world and iRacing. From bold liveries to clean, professional branding, every design is made to perform on and off the track. Ready to upgrade your look? Contact STEELE Graphics and Designs for custom wraps. Visit STEELE Graphics and Designs on Facebook to learn more.
Backed by 70 years of experience, Duncan Water Systems specializes in commercial and residential water system testing, design, installation, and maintenance. Our mission at Duncan Water Systems is to provide high-quality water solutions to every customer. We pride ourselves on being responsive, honest, and customer-oriented. Our priority is safer water for you and your family. Contact us via call, text, email, or visit us at duncanwatersystems.com.
Well, good evening, race fans, and welcome to race number 7 of the FloridaSkinDoctor.com racing series. Tonight, we are dancing with the lady in black. That's right, it is Darlington Raceway for Throwback Night tonight here in BTDY. This race is one that I've had circled since the beginning of the season. We are in for a fantastic night of racing, and you're going to see all of it live here on VSPEED for the STEELE Graphics and Design 185. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Daniel Cunningham. Alongside me up here in the booth, the boss man, Adam Baker, running the production truck as well as co-commentary. And as always, those cameras courtesy of Dougie Beard. And Adam, this is Darlington is my favorite racetrack on all of iRacing. Hands down, there is no other track that I would rather call a race at or race at myself. You throw in a really good night of throwback schemes, and we are just in for a great night of racing here at Darlington.
Yeah, this is always a classic racetrack, one of the oldest in NASCAR, and it is one of the toughest, probably the toughest oval that these drivers are going to go to all season long. Very narrow kind of primary groove. You can run in a few different spots, though, in 3 and 4. These next-gen cars going to be very difficult on this old, beat-up surface, and looking forward to a good race here tonight, as always, in BTDY.
Yeah, and a little bit of a throwback here tonight as well that we're not going to have a competition caution. Something that we've had throughout the season and previous races. Did not have one last week at Milwaukee. So going old school tonight. Possibility that this could go flag to flag green here as well this evening. It's going to make for another challenge for these drivers on how they navigate that. Let's take a quick look at tonight's race analysis. We've got 135 laps on the board. Fuel run anywhere between 55 to 60 laps. A couple drivers said they might be able to go 65, but I think you're probably going to want tires before you get to that point. So they have 5 sets of tires available, 3 green, white checker attempts, and that 80% fuel. And something else, too, that is worth mentioning, a different little wrinkle here this evening. We actually have a 2x time multiplier as well. So this race, much like you see with the Southern 500 in real life with that 2x time multiplier, going to start in the evening. Track's going to be hot. It's going to be slick, but it's going to progress into the evening and turn into like a late evening, possibly even a night race, depending on how long these drivers go this evening.
Yeah, that is going to make things even more difficult on top of the track conditions and everything that we're seeing out here. 100 or just under 100 degrees, 90 degrees Fahrenheit, but it will cool down as the time passes, and so definitely going to affect how the drivers attack each corner and their strategy throughout a run, and trying to preserve their tires towards the end of the race. And we do have just the 5 sets of tires for these guys, which might seem like a lot, but for 135 laps and potentially a handful of cautions, tire strategy could become a concern later in the event. Another quickly, we wanted to get to the points standings. Adam Cabot, a 3-time winner this season. He's got a pretty decent lead, growing over Seth Hatchell, up 9 points. Braxton DeWeese right there in tow, 13 points back. And it is getting really tight at the cut line. It is tied right now between Bradley Cooper, week 1 winner at Daytona, and Alan Dice, who are back 46 points from your points leader, Adam Cabot. And it's even tighter than below that. You've got James Loveland, Jake Mockey, Michael Jones, Paul Hahn. These guys all trying to find their way into the top 12. And those drivers trying to advance into the chase at the end of the regular season here in just over a month from now. They'll be going into the chase for the championship. So going to be a tight battle there, Daniel.
Yeah, and even taking a look, and you look at like the 7th position with Chris Samard, Dallas Sullivan tied for 7th, just 13 points above the cut line. And you got Cody Atkins and Keith Mayato tied for 9th. They are 11 points above the cut line. Angelo Ronas just 8 points above the cut. So there is still, it's a really tight points battle all the way through the field. There's a few different battles going on. Talked about how tight the top 3 are. 4th and 5th with Turner and Massey. They're pretty close together. Even Jeremiah Vincent as well. Throw him into that. And then you've got that other group that's basically from about 7th on back to, really, you could say 15th or 16th, that they're kind of grouped together as well. So be interesting to see how those drivers change with the points as we continue to get through the regular season. But we have got the qualifying runs finished up, and we are ready to bring you your starting lineup for the race here this evening. And starting on pole, it's going to be the 37 car of Brody Hayes, putting down a really quick lap, 29.349. Adam Cabot, 3-time winner on the season, starting to his outside on row number 1 in that 17 car. Taking a look at row number 2, you'll have Seth Hatchell, Braxton DeWeese, 2 of those guys we talked about that have been really fast all season long, starting in 3rd and 4th. Rolling off in 5th will be Keith Mayato. Bailey Turner to his outside in the 6th position. Starting in 7th will be Jeff Wright. Ray Massey to his outside in 8th. Rounding out your top 10 here this evening will be James Loveland in the 0-2 and Angelo Ronas in the 22, starting in 10th.
Starting in 11th here tonight, Dennis Faircloth in the Dale Jarrett throwback machine there, the number 83, Chris Samard. Going to be rolling off in the 12th spot in the Darrell Waltrip number 77 machine. Alan Dice, the Terry Labonte Kellogg's throwback, rolling off from 13th. Cody Adkins in the Wawa number 55, going to start from the 14th position. Michael Jones, the Tony Stewart throwback, starting from 15th here tonight. Rob Liedl in the number 80 machine, going to start from 16th here. Dallas Sullivan in the classic Tide Ride, rolling off from 17th. And Eric Hutton in the Dave's Hot Chicken number 88, going to start from the 18th position. Zach Smith rolls off from 19th, and James Barker in the Dale Jr. Throwback going to start from 20th here tonight. 21st will be Jake Mockey in that 13 machine. Rolling off from 22nd is Paul Hahn. Thomas Brendel going to start from 23rd, and rounding out the field here tonight is going to be Jake Miller in 24th position.
That is your starting lineup. 24 cars on the grid here this evening. No, we're going to be talking a lot about those throwback schemes as we get through the evening. Pace truck rolling here. We are getting ready to get this race fired off. Speaking of those throwback schemes, starting up on the front row, you've got the Mark Martin Folgers car there with Brody Hayes starting in P1. And then you got Matt Kenseth's little Crown Royal action for the 17 of Adam Cabot to his outside there. A couple of good-looking schemes starting up on that front row here this evening.
Yeah, really nice-looking cars up there on the front row, and we'll see how they look at the end of the night. There's going to be a lot of Darlington stripes, I think, on these beautiful throwback machines, but a couple good classic ones up there on the front row.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones. And that's one of my favorite things with the throwback races, just seeing how creative people get, seeing, maybe how deep in the Wayback Machine you can go for some of these throwbacks. That's definitely one of the coolest things that we see. Even in real life, it's one of the coolest things whenever they do the throwback races. So we'll definitely be sure to touch on as many of those as possible here as we head throughout the evening. But the pace truck is off. We are getting ready to get underway here this evening at Darlington. Marty's got the green flag in hand, and we are now underway for 135 laps here at Darlington. Already Brody Hayes clears out to the lead. Battle for second is on between Adam Cabot and Seth Hatchell. The field trying to get single filed out as quickly as possible, especially through turns 1 and 2. You don't really want to run side by side through that part of the track if you can avoid it. First lap in the books, Brody Hayes is the leader, but this battle for second is still going here between Hatchell and Cabot. It looked like Hatchell maybe just decided to back off and fall in line and just try to be patient here early on.
And you can see everybody pretty much single filed out there as they went through turns 1 and 2 that time. So just like you said, tough to go through there side by side. Nobody's taking any chances here on lap number 2. Not something you'll see every race that you come to Darlington. Some guys will start to make moves very early on, but Brody Hayes looking very solid out front. These guys in behind him all just trying to keep pace with the 37 for the moment, but that clean air looks to be pretty good for the moment.
Yeah, the 37 of Hayes starting on pole, already starting to stretch the lead out just a little bit here. And, we talked about there not being a competition caution tonight, so you've really got to decide early on here, how do you want to manage this race? Do you want to try to get out to a big lead, maybe stretch or push early, try to stretch that lead out, or do you just want to kind of pace? I mean, a lot of times these drivers will have a gap in mind. You're somebody like Brody Hayes, you maybe don't want to let Adam Cabot get within more than 2 to 3 car lengths. But you can already see drivers starting to struggle with grip off the exit of turn 2. That is something we will see throughout the evening. But, a lot of times you just want to kind of pace and try to keep somebody within a certain distance behind you as opposed to burning your tires up early.
Yeah, Alan Dice was one who kind of knocked the wall down there off of turn number 2, and heard from a few drivers that it's pretty tight, and if you put too much wheel into it, though, it can get a little bit snappy loose on exit. This time he's a little bit more conservative. You can see cost him a bit of speed on the backstretch, though, but trying to chase down Chris Martin, that 77 Chrome Darrell Waltrip machine, right now running in the 12th position. Someone to keep an eye on, I think, tonight is Jeff Wright. We haven't seen him really make any starts other than, I believe, Daytona. And he is always a contender in the Saturday Night Racing League, which is another one of our series here on VSPEED. And he is a past champion here, multi-time champion in VSPEED. So keep an eye on that 48 to potentially get it done here after starting in the 7th spot tonight.
Yeah, I think that's a really solid bet. I've seen Jeff race over in that series a few times, a bunch of times really, and he is always strong at Darlington. Battle for position here, that is Bailey Turner on the inside, little Casey Kane throwback with the Z-Rex throwback of Keith Mayato there to the outside. Bailey Turner able to complete that pass, get up into the 5th position. We'll see if he can make any inroads on the top 4 ahead of him. I know there was a little bit of joking in Discord over the past couple of days. Bailey Turner has been very outspoken about he is not a huge fan of Darlington. And there was a little bit of joking that maybe he should run a Kyle Petty throwback, since he famously said they ought to fill this place with water and hold bass fishing tournaments here.
Yeah, he did say that, but I think the drivers do love coming here in real life. It's definitely tricky here in iRacing. If there's a few things about the sim that are maybe less than perfectly accurate to real life, and that can make the driving and racing a bit more difficult here in iRacing than it may even be in real life. But this is one of the most challenging tracks, and I know real world NASCAR drivers love to come out here, and even if they aren't the fastest, I think it's still a good time and a good challenge, and an opportunity for them to improve their skills. And Bailey Turner, one of those guys always learning and improving, currently running in the top 5, so even if he doesn't like it, he's running pretty well.
And that's always the sign of a fast driver. You can go to a track that you don't necessarily care for and still have really good speed there, and Bailey Turner certainly able to do that here at Darlington. And you mentioned Chris Simard in that 77 car in the DW throwback. Every time I find myself racing here, I think about what DW would always say on the broadcasts when he would talk about this place. You got to race the racetrack and not the cars around you. And I think you see so much of that. And that, to me, that's the most fun part of the challenge of this track, is even if you're by yourself just trying to log laps, not necessarily racing for position, you still have to be hyper focused here every single lap. If you're under green, you can't really take a lap off.
Yeah, and that way it's almost like a road course where you're racing the track and not the other drivers. And everybody seems to be doing that for the moment. We'll get to more side-by-side racing as this run goes on and the tires start to wear out. Everybody just trying to survive. Ooh, big bobble there from Braxton DeWeese, who goes down to the inside of the front straightaway, able to hang on to that race car in the 4th position, having trouble. So, it's a challenge, and these guys are pushing these race cars right now.
And that is something that we saw a lot in practice, was guys getting loose on the exit of turn 4. Heard a few drivers saying the same thing in chat as well, that just if you have a lot of wheel cranked into it in 3 and 4, sometimes you get on throttle just a little too early and it'll get the back end to snap around. Braxton DeWeese also shifting here as well, is over in 1 and 2. I don't think he's downshifting into 4th gear, but as we ride on board with him, once he gets over into turns 3 and 4, I believe we will see him downshift into 4th, try to keep the RPMs up, get a little bit better drive on corner exit, and you do see him bump down into 4th gear there. So I know that is something that drivers will do here in the next gen. I thought it may take a little bit longer in the run before we start to see that, but seeing that early on here, as we've got a battle between Dale Jarrett and Ward Burton here. Got Dennis Faircloth in the Jarrett throwback, Angelo Ronis in the 22 in the Ward Burton machine. But, and then contact with Alan Dice directly behind them. He got into the wall really hard off of turn number 2 there. And again, something else that we're going to see throughout the evening here.
Yeah, Eric Hutton able to take evasive maneuvers there. He'll take a spot away, move up to the 14th position. And we do have a couple of Darrell Waltrip throwbacks here tonight. So that is I believe that's the 80, or rather the 46 of Dallas Sullivan running the Tide ride there. That may be a newer throwback than when Darrell was in the Tide machine. But either way, currently back here in the 17th spot. Michael Jones here in 18th. Just kind of all by himself, the Tony Stewart machine. And then we've got a group of cars more on the back end of the lead lap. Jake Miller is not too far from going a lap down. You can see the leaders coming off of turn number 2. Brody Hayes leading Adam Cabot. They're about 6 or 7 seconds behind him. So this field very spread out here early on in this race.
Yeah, a lot of drivers probably just trying to pace right now. Still really early on, just 16 laps into this event, and just trying to keep the car clean, keep it in one piece as they get throughout the evening. A little bit further back here, looks like Jeff Wright starting to put a little bit of pressure now on the 36 of Keith Mayato, somebody that you talked about earlier with Jeff Wright, just how he's always fast here at Darlington. And that long run speed, it looks like, is starting to play into his favor. Starting to make some really good lap times here, just running about a tenth off of the leader's lap time. And that's with dealing with a little bit of lap traffic here. Or not lap traffic, but just not having clean air, rather.
Yeah, it looks like actually basically everyone faster than Brody Hayes that time around. So maybe the 37 pushed it a little bit too hard early on in this run. He's got that clean air. We did see issues. It may have been at Atlanta, or there were a couple other racetracks where the drivers get to the lead, they get that clean air, and it actually changes the balance of the car entirely to the point where they're getting loose as the run goes on and everyone else is tightening up. So we may see this kind of come back towards Adam Cabot, Seth Hatchell, and the rest of this field, if that is the case here tonight, and lap traffic out in front of Brody Hayes.
Yeah, that is the 52 of Jake Miller, sporting the Ken Schrader throwback there for him. Another good-looking scheme is, that is the 34 of Brendel. Big damage to the front of that car. No caution. We are still under green here, but that looks like a race ender for the 34 as we take a look on the VSPEED instant replay.
Man.
Wow, yeah, that is definitely a race ender there for Thomas Brendel. And again, just like we had talked about earlier, gets a little bit loose off the exit of turn number 4. I mean, he did have a driver fairly close, but I don't think the 91 was close enough to really pack any air on the back of him. No, he was loose before Zach Smith had got up there, and just massive damage to the front of that 34 car. But one of the things that's kind of unique with Darlington is a lot of times when you have those big slides and the spins to the inside of the track, iRacing does not throw cautions for it because there's so much racing surface that they consider to be off track. And that is the case there. It's basically counting it as you're spun down to the apron, you're off the racing groove. They don't throw cautions for it.
Yeah, in that case, not a good incident for Thomas Brendel. And we're taking a look here on board with Eric Hutton. He is making a big charge forward now, up 6 positions from where he started in this race. And he is on the back bumper of Dennis Faircloth, and right in front of him, the 22 of Angelo Ronis. These guys all battling very tightly, and down the hill goes Jake Miller, who is a lap machine now. Chris Simard also kind of getting towed along by the 88. Those two starting to move forward and putting down some nice lap times.
Yeah, and Miller doing a nice job staying out of the way there, letting these lead lap cars battle for position. The one thing that I'm always interested to see, especially with the next gen, is watching the different lines that these drivers will try to take through 1 and 2, because you look at like this angle and you think, well, they're all taking the same line. And there really is just one preferred groove through turns 1 and 2 with the way you get through there. But especially in the next gen, just with dirty air being a factor, you've got to try to offset your car at least a little bit from the car in front of you. Try to keep as much clean air as possible on the front of it. And these drivers kind of navigating that, trying to offset just a little bit. You can kind of see it here out of Eric Hutton. He's saying just about that's maybe a quarter of the car width above the 83 of Dennis Faircloth, just enough to keep some downforce on the front of that car.
Yeah, we'll see what he does here in 3 and 4. Not able to get out of the wake that time. You can see he lifts a little bit more, now cuts down low. Looks like he might get a nice run compared to the 83, but not able to do anything with it. Just sticks right to the back bumper. Did see a moment up further. That may have been the 88. That is, I believe, James Barker, who is also a lap down, showing as the 077 on our scoring pylon. But yeah, he's going to go to the bottom here. Now Eric Hutton gets a good run to potentially take a look down in turn number 3. Not able to make it stick that time. Chris Simard also waiting, and they are starting to stack up behind Dennis Faircloth.
Yeah, they are. That's one of the things that can make this track frustrating. And to Dennis Faircloth's credit, he's not doing anything wrong. He's just running his line, running his race. But it can be incredibly difficult to pass. I mean, it definitely seems as though Eric Hutton is faster than Dennis right now. But how do you set that pass up, and where do you try to make that move? is really the big question. And Eric Hutton, he's trying everything right now. He's trying to run up a little bit further up the track here, trying to generate that run as the 22 directly in front of them, Angelo Ronis. He just had a big moment off of turn number 4 there, loses a few spots in the process. And now up ahead of them, Eric Hutton finally to the outside of Dennis Faircloth. He's going to be able to get position, and he's trying to bring Chris Simard and Cody Atkins with him.
Looks like he will. Simard going to go around the top side. Here comes Cody Atkins, that throwback Wawa machine, trying to get alongside off turn number 4. He will get the run, and I think Dennis is probably just going to let him go here down into turn number 1. Try and keep everybody safe on entry, and he will do just that. So Dennis Faircloth losing a few spots. Angelo Ronis, though, losing a whole bunch there. Not sure what happened to him to cause him to drop down, but maybe he saw the cars closing in, and we do have a yellow flag out.
And I believe that may have been for the 91 of Zach Smith. It looks like he just abruptly disconnected from the server. So, oh, yeah, I think that the tail end of that there that we caught will tell the story. It's going through turns 3 and 4, gets into the wall just a little bit, and then overcorrects it with the car breaking loose. And it looked like he was trying to exit out of the car in that Cartoon Network throwback machine there. It looks like he was trying to exit from the car before it would throw the caution, but iRacing quick to throw that one with the 91 stopped backwards in the racing line there. 30 laps in, that will put us under our first caution of the night here. And James Barker should be the free pass recipient, but we're going to see everybody on pit lane here going to take advantage to come down and get 4 fresh tires on their machines.
Yeah, and this will be very welcome. We were seeing about second and a half, 2 seconds, maybe even more of fall off for many of these drivers as they will bring it down onto pit road here. Brody Hayes leading the field. He was starting to shed some lap time a little bit faster than the rest of the top 5 or top 10. And a few guys were starting to make their charge forward, and this could be a good opportunity for them to get some of that time back and have a shot to close in a little bit faster to the front of the field. Looks like a nice job getting into the box there by the 37.
Yep, everybody down pit lane here. It's like pretty much everybody even in their boxes at the moment. And I doubt very seriously we'll see any takers with 2 tires here. Everybody electing to take 4 and pretty much holding serve off of pit road. Brody Hayes, Adam Cabot, Seth Hatchell, Bailey Turner, and Keith Mayato will exit as your top 5. Jeff Wright did pick up 1 spot up to 6th. Ray Massey will be in 7th. Eric Hutton 8th. In 9th, James Loveland. And rounding out the top 10 will be Chris Simard in the 77. So it looks like Angelo Ronis, an extended stay on pit lane here. We saw him have that issue earlier, possibly trying to get some damage fixed from maybe a little bit of wall contact. And yeah, it looks like he's got some damage there on the right front that he's trying to get taken care of.
Yeah, still looks to be pretty heavy damage between the right front quarter panel and the bumper of that car. Braxton DeWeese also had a long pit stop. Not sure if that was also for damage, but that car looking pretty good. He was struggling with the handling just a bit. We saw at different points during the run, but still up there in the top 5. But he is going to get cycled way back now outside the top 15 into 19th position. So he's got his work cut out for him.
Yeah, he has definitely got an uphill climb for the rest of this race, but we've seen the speed that he has week in and week out here in BTDY. Does have a race win on the season as well back at Atlanta, so he knows how to get it done, especially at these older abrasive tracks, as we were at the old Atlanta configuration with that one. And be interesting and be exciting to see him fight his way up through the field here as well. But getting ready to restart here. Lights are off on the pace truck. Brody Hayes, the control car, he's taking the inside on this restart. Still got Adam Cabot to his outside. Seth Hatchell and Bailey Turner in row number 2 behind him. See what kind of jump your race leader can get here as they approach that restart zone. But we are back underway here on lap number 31. Really good jump there for the 37 of Brody Hayes. He's going to be able to easily clear as they get into turn 1.
Yeah, and it's side by side for second, Hatchell and Cabot, and neither of them really backing out. Hatchell really tight on exit. It's going to cost him a lot of momentum. Here comes Bailey Turner with a head of steam. He's going to go right around the outside. Not even going to be a contest into turn 3, and Hatchell will fall back to 4th. Not a good restart for him. And now it's Jeff Wright and Keith Mayato. These two very familiar with each other. They're nose to nose headed back towards turn number 1.
And we'll see who, if either of them decides to lift over here in 1 and 2, and they are going to choose to race it side by side. I think Keith Mayato maybe gave a little bit of room there, decided to back out of it before they got to the exit of turn number 2. Taking a look a little further back, that is Dennis Faircloth going to the inside. A big move inside of Jake Maki there in the 13, trying to get around. Jake Maki running that Travis Pastrana throwback here. To one of his, I think it was one of his dirt bikes that he's throwing back with that paint scheme. I could be mistaken on that, but I do know it's Travis Pastrana. I do remember that part of it when he posted that, and good looking paint scheme for him as well, but loses a spot to Dennis Faircloth here, and now coming under attack from the 80 of Rob Liedl as well. And also the 00 Braxton DeWeese trying to fight his way back up. He has already gained 2 positions since the restart, up to the 17th position.
Yeah, and he's going to get another one there. Goes by Rob Liedl down into turn number 1. Nice move with a big run, but gets into the wall in 1 and 2. But still up a few spots since the restart, and into the wall a little bit harder. Even further back there is Michael Jones, and now Paul Hahn and Angelo Ronis, who had that extended stay on pit road, trying to close in. But Angelo into the wall there in 3 and 4. He's definitely struggling with the handling tonight, even though he was up there in the top 10 and qualified 10th. Not the way he'd like the start of his race to be going. And now Braxton DeWeese gets by Jake Maki to collect another spot. And further up the field, fairly close racing between the top 5 and top 10.
Yeah, and what makes it so difficult if you're somebody like Angelo Ronis or even Braxton DeWeese as well is you get a little bit of damage on the front of the car, you get into the wall, then you're starting to struggle with grip. You end up pushing a little too hard, get into the wall yet again, and it just starts to compound on itself. So something those drivers will be fighting with here for the duration of the evening. Looking a little further up, that is the 23 that you see there, Ray Massey, and the Jimmy Spencer throwback. Really good looking scheme. And, you know, I always got to say there's bonus points when you can match the number and the font to whatever driver you're throwing it back to, and matching that 23 Campbell car. That's a good looking scheme there for him.
Yeah, I think we've seen that one run here in this league before. I believe Ben Bafford possibly a few seasons back, one of our past champions, was I believe he was number 23. I think ran that scheme as well. But always a cool one here. I don't believe that was a next gen season, so cool to see it on that car. And having a good solid run here in 8th place is Ray Massey. Brody Hayes still controlling this one out in front. He's led all the laps so far in that Folders throwback, and doing a really nice job looking for his first victory, or second victory rather, after his win there at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park.
Yeah, really strong performances for him this season, even though he hasn't got to run a ton of the races. You know, every time that we see Brody Hayes here in BTDY, we know that he's going to be a threat to win. He's going to run up front. He's going to have a ton of speed. And tonight proving to be no different. But a few more challengers now starting to move up on the 17 of Adam Cabot. Bailey Turner is really starting to close the gap here, getting really close. Seth Hatchell is starting to put some pressure as well on Bailey Turner in the 24. So quite a few drivers that are starting to work their way forward here as we progress through this race.
I think we saw possibly a connection problem for James Loveland for a moment. He was dropping through the order, not sure he's got something going on his end, but right in front of his teammate, Chris Samard. So keep an eye on this back here, see if anything kind of acts up, or we see any change for position in this area. Also, Dennis Faircloth putting a lot of pressure on Dallas Sullivan. This is 12th and 13th. Dennis having a good recovery from the restart.
Oh, Dallas gets hard into the wall there, though. That was a pretty substantial hit to the right side there for Dallas Sullivan in the 46. Looks like, I don't I don't visibly see any damage to it, but would have to think he's going to have a little bit of aero damage possibly from that, because that was a pretty good hit there.
Yeah, and it looks like Dennis kind of backed off, thinking that the 46 might jump off the wall, and it looks like Dallas may be going to let the 83 on by, knowing he's got a little bit of right front damage, just want to hold him up. And off of turn number 4, though, trying to pull a little crossover. Nope, he'll stay in line behind them. Alan Dice, Braxton DeWeese, side by side back towards turn number 1, and doesn't look like either of them are really going to lift. So this could get interesting off of turn 2, but Braxton DeWeese is going to be able to clear through the center, and he'll take that spot away, continuing to march back forward.
Yeah, Braxton DeWeese definitely on the comeback trail here. Alan Dice looked like got into the wall a little bit over in turns 1 and 2, just trying to keep it off of the 00 there. And you're right. I mean, that's not an area of the track that you want to try going side by side if you can avoid it at all. But either driver wanting to yield the position there, battling for that spot. A little bit further up here, taking a look at the 88 of Eric Hutton, trying to get up there, put some pressure on the 36 of Keith Mayato. And it's just kind of been a quiet night for Eric Hutton so far, but he is up 11 spots from where he started, the biggest mover of the race so far. You see quite a bit of smoke there on the front straightaway. I'm not sure who that was, but there was definitely somebody. I think it was the 13 of Jake Maki there. Not sure if he just got loose off of turn 4, as we've seen a few other times with some drivers here this evening, but he is coming down pit road, just 14 laps in on this stint. Going to lose at least 1 lap here with being on pit lane, and going to hurt his chances at having a strong run here tonight.
Yeah, definitely not where you want to be getting off sequence this early into a run, but you know, we've seen already about a half second, if not more, of fall off you know, here in these first 15 laps, as the track is under you know, under shade now. The sun's starting to set. Let's take a look at the track temp. It is starting to come down a few degrees from where we were in qualifying and at the start of this race. So like you said, double time, going to get this thing into full night mode in a little bit, and that is going to continue to change the handling, and these guys are going to have that much more grip. It'll be interesting to see how that changes the dynamics of these cars. It looks like Adam Cabot has kind of broken away from Bailey Turner a little bit more and starting to track down the 37. He was about a 10th faster last time.
Yeah, and back behind them, it looks like Bailey Turner actually got into the wall just a little bit off of turn number 2. Still able to keep it going with pretty good momentum, though. And, you know, you mentioned those lap times the last time around. This time, Brody Hayes did run just about a 10th of a second faster than Adam Cabot. So it's kind of trading lap times right now. But Seth Hatchell has got a lot of speed in that number 8 car, and he had a little bit of momentum down the back straightaway. Maybe thought about taking a look to the inside of Turner in the 24, but just being patient right now, trying to get that perfect opportunity to make a move. But if he doesn't make one soon, he's going to have the 48 of Jeff Wright to contend with. He's just kind of lurking back there in that 5th position. And here the last few laps, he's been running not quite, I mean, he's not quite the fastest car on track, but he's definitely been a little bit faster the last few laps than both Bailey Turner and Seth Hatchell.
Yeah, and Seth may be getting held up just a little bit by the 24 as Bailey wide on the exit there. Seth trying to keep it a little bit lower off of turn number 4. We got a car spinning further back. Trying to see who that was.
That is the 80 of Rob Liedl. He is stopped on the front straightaway. No caution as of yet, as he's just far enough down the racetrack that iRacing is considering that off the racing surface.
Wow.
Go back and take a look, and I caught a little bit of this. I mean, this is a phenomenal save out of him. You see, he gets into the wall. It gets the car out of shape. You don't see the next gen stay sideways that long and not just snap on somebody. And right where that dotted white line is through 3 and 4, that's kind of like the crossover point of what iRacing considers to be the racing groove versus being off track. And he was really, really close to being above that where it would have thrown a caution, but all 4 tires just below that dotted line. And we stay green here. That That one does kind of surprise me a little bit, though. I'm not going to lie. I thought for sure that would end up triggering a caution.
Yeah, and he has heavy right front damage, so he's brought it down pit road. So I'm not sure where the damage came from, if that was the contact that turned him around, or if he, the tires being superheated, got back going, and then, might have slipped, coming off of, the next set of corners and hurt the right front, but did not quite catch when that damage occurred. As now we're taking a look here, Seth Hatchell has gotten by Bailey Turner, so that's changed for the third position. And now Jeff Wright's all over the back of the 24. These two were battling for the win on Saturday night, and now they're battling up here in the top 5. See what Jeff Wright is able to do if he can find a way around. But Bailey Turner's starting to fade just a bit, and pit window will start to open in about 15-20 laps. So going to be interesting to see how that all goes, as James Loveland possibly falling through right here. Not sure what's going on with the O2. No, he's back. Definitely some serious connection problems, though, for James Loveland.
Yeah, it looks like just some intermittent connection issues there, kind of throwing the timing and scoring for a little bit of a loop when he blinks out. The timing's not quite sure where he is on track, and then once he jumps back on there, it'll update and put him back in position. But yeah, I think you're right. It looks like the 24 of Bailey Turner was holding up Seth Hatchell just a little bit. Hatchell has been able to pull by almost a second over Turner in the 24. So we see Keith Mayato and Eric Hutton battling for position here. And Eric Hutton, I mean, he just continues his steady climb up through the field. Like we said earlier, up 11 spots from where he started, trying to make it 12 spots here this evening. We talked about how hard it can be to pass, but Eric Hutton showing that it may be difficult, but it is not impossible to pass as he works his way up through this field.
Yeah, and he's putting down very quick laps still up there, competitive with the top 3 drivers in lap time, and he's right here behind Keith Mayato. These guys both putting down really nice lap times. Adam Cabot looks like he may be the fastest at the moment, but Brody Hayes still controlling this race, has led every single lap. Kind of what Cabot did last week at New Hampshire is what Brody Hayes is doing right now, just keeping the field at arm's length.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, Adam Cabot just absolutely dominating the field last week. And here this week, Brody Hayes doing his version of that. I don't want to say it. There's no way that we could go back-to-back weeks and see somebody lead every single lap, is there? I mean, we would have to have some cautions fall the right way for that to happen, just with the way that the tire strategies and the fuel strategies work out. But so far, 57 laps in, and Brody Hayes has led all of them to this point. And, you mentioned the pitch strategies a little bit earlier, just a few laps ago. 28 laps in on this stint, they had roughly about 100 laps to go when we did go back green. So, I mean, you can definitely make it on one stop to the end of this race. But the question in my mind is, will we see enough tire fall off that it would make a two-stop strategy viable? I mean, to this point, we're only seeing about 6 to 7 tenths of fall off. It seems like that the tire fall off isn't quite as bad as the track is cooled down, but there may still be somebody that's willing to try it if they're a little bit further back in the pack.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and Brody Hayes could be in a sticky situation here, right? He's got control of the race, but he's not so far ahead that if he doesn't pit first, right, if he pits after any of these guys behind him, he may end up behind Adam Cabot or Seth Hatchell or Bailey Turner or Jeff Wright, any of these guys who are within striking distance. If Brody Hayes waits a lap or two or even more, he's going to end up falling behind them, and that could change the dynamic of the second half of this race. So yeah, definitely going to be a big call when they elect to bring it in, but I don't see that fall off that we were expecting. Yeah, just about a half second, 6 tenths per lap, but it's pretty stable for most drivers in the field. Oh, a big hit there. James Barker into the wall in front of our race leaders.
Yeah, that's something that could throw these race leaders for a little bit of a curveball here, as well as they start to catch some of these lap cars. We've talked about there's really only one preferred line. it can be a little bit difficult to pass. If you have some of these drivers trying to hang on to the lead lap that end up racing the leaders a little bit harder, it could dictate, who ends up in the lead of the race. 7/10 of a second between Hayes and Cabot, but it is not difficult to lose that much of a gap if you catch a lap car in the wrong place.
Yeah, this track is notorious for leaders catching, lap cars at the exit of turn 2 or exit of turn 4, and you lose so much momentum on the straightaways. But you can see the dirty air already starting to affect Brody Hayes there off of turn number 4, and Adam Cabot started to close in down the front stretch. Didn't run a faster lap, but the end of that lap, Brody Hayes starting to struggle just a tiny bit. This time, the same situation, just not getting that clean air, and that's the 7 of Paul Hahn, still on the lead lap, but just at the tail end. He's doing everything he can to stay on pace with the leaders, but he is going to pull out of the way, seeing that maybe he is affecting that battle for the lead. This could affect the exit or entry for Seth Hatchell, who's going to come up right behind him in the 7, well off the pace.
Yeah, and even still with the 7 of Paul Hahn yielding to the race leaders there, as he was trying to get out of the way of Seth Hatchell there as well, but I think Seth caught him at just the wrong time. That last lap, Adam Cabot still gained 0.2 of a second on Brody Hayes, and Hayes is not quite pulling that gap back out, as he had another lap car there in front of him as well that he was trying to navigate. But now that Hayes has that clean air, we'll see if he is able to start to stretch that gap, as Cabot now has it down inside that 0.3 of a second range.
Oh, Seth Hatchell, we're getting the same situation off turn 2. This is exactly what I was talking about. If you catch somebody who, and you're just not on the same page, at the exit of one of the corners here, I mean, Hatchell lost 0.8 of a second on the previous lap. He's going to lose another few tenths just because of this. Yeah, 4 more tenths. He's lost, over a second in 2 laps because he caught those 2 lap cars in a terrible spot while the leaders just were able to slip on by him. That is how quickly things can change. Seth Hatchell was tracking him down, actually, and now he's got all that work to try and make that back up again.
Yeah, that is the big challenge that you run into here at Darlington, as we've got a battle side by side here between Keith Mayato, Eric Hutton, and they have caught that 7 of Paul Hahn as well, trying to navigate around the lap car. And to the lap car's credit, they try. You can tell they're trying to stay out of the way. There's nowhere to hide at Darlington. It's such a narrow racing surface. You try to get out of the way at the right point. You've kind of compared it to a road course, as you could see. Was that a little bit further back? That was Loveland in the 0-2. Big contact with the wall. But yeah, you've compared it to a road course where a lot of times you want to try to let somebody go where it's going to cost both of you the least amount of time possible. It's kind of the same mindset with Darlington. You really just want to let somebody go where it's going to be the most beneficial to both of you, but it's just so hard to pull off here at times.
Yeah, in a battle, or sometimes, you're trying to make a pass on somebody. You've been working lap after lap to get in position, and then you might catch a lap car just in the wrong spot, and then you got to, start over again. And that can be so frustrating. But
big wiggle there out of the 88 of Eric Hutton off of turn number 4.
Yeah, he is pushing that race car, and his kind of advantage and speed over Keith Mayato started to fade away. Ray Massey's back here behind them as well. He's starting to close back up to that battle, but could see a few cars battling for 6th, 7th, and 8th in just a moment. Up at the front, Adam Cabot still about 0.9 of a second behind, and might be to his advantage to start the pit cycle when it comes time.
Yeah, the one good thing that he has going for him here is that he can try to do the undercut. Adam Cabot can do the undercut on Brody Hayes, but Brody has enough of a lead with that 0.9 of a second, and we're only talking about right now 0.7 of a second with fall off, that he could just kind of react to whatever Adam Cabot is doing, and if he gets a clean entry, clean exit on and off of pit road, should be able to maintain that lead, albeit with a slightly smaller gap. But yeah, both of those drivers, it's going to be a cat and mouse game on when do you decide to come down pit lane.
The battle back here just at the tail end of the top 10. James Loveland, who's got some right front damage after that hard hit off of turn 2. He's holding up. Oh, he gets in the wall a little bit right there, holding up Cody Adkins, and Braxton DeWeese now going to try and take advantage. Looks to the inside, headed into turn number 3. That'll be for the 11th position. Braxton still continuing to recover from his early extended pit stop. He's got fans in chat cheering him on, and he continues to march up there, trying to get into the top 10. And one more spot to do so. So good comeback so far for the 00. Trying to keep himself up there in the top 5 in points. Coming into tonight, 3rd in the standings behind Adam Cabot and Seth Hatchell, who are up there running inside the top 3.
Yeah, another strong start to the season here for Braxton DeWeese, trying to maintain that strong start here. And you talked about Seth Hatchell and all that work that he did. Hasn't really been able to pull back a lot of that gap that he lost with fighting those lap cars. Still about 2.3 seconds back of the race leader. Still running pretty similar lap times. I mean, the top 3 are all within a 1/10 of a second lap after lap of one another. Back behind them, Jeff Wright still trying to close in on Bailey Turner, but the battle for position is here. You talked about Braxton DeWeese having those fans in the chat. He's continuing that comeback run here. He gets up into the top 10, and that was Cody Atkins in that 55 Neil Bonnet throwback there. Gets into the wall just a little bit off of turn number 4, trying to find a way around James Loveland for the 11th position. Atkins just kind of had a quiet night so far. Is up 2 spots from where he did start the race, but just kind of a quiet night here, which given some of the runs that we've seen him have, I'm sure he would take that as a big slide out of the 0-2 of James Loveland there right in front of Cody Atkins. And Loveland just going to let Atkins in the 55 go on by here. Looks like the handling's starting to go away of that 0-2 car.
Yeah, he's about a half second off of the lap times of your race leader, Brody Hayes. Everybody else is, like you said, within a 1/10 of a second. I don't remember seeing a field so tight in terms of pace and lap time this far into a run. I mean, we're nearly 50 laps into a run, and most of these drivers are right on pace with each other, as Jeff Wright able to complete the move on the 24. Bailey Turner, so move the 48 to 4th position. This is almost 6 seconds behind Brody Hayes. So really the battle is for the top 3, and Brody Hayes continuing to control the race, has led every single lap. Very impressive run. That clean air paying dividends, and it was so important in qualifying to get that. Out here in front, Adam Cabot, though, starting to claw back a little bit of time here and there, but they seem to be trading laps, and Seth Hatchell still 2.2 seconds back, so he fell to this distance after catching the lap cars in the wrong spot. Like you said, has not been able to close back in. He may be the one to start the pit strategy, by going in here probably the next few laps, and doesn't seem to fall off. Is really, going off a cliff here at the end of the run. So he may, get the early advantage and then not really give it back up if he's able to take over the lead.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because we don't see that gradual fall off like we're used to seeing at Darlington. So, I mean, I know a lot of times whenever I've run here, I tend to try to go a couple of laps longer. I prefer to do the overcut versus the undercut, try to have that tire advantage at the end of the run. But I agree with you here. With the way that we're seeing the lap times change, they just kind of plateau after a handful of laps or so. I think it would be beneficial for Seth Hatchell if he can be the first one on pit road and try to undercut these guys. He might be able to get the track position and retain that through the end of the race, as we're now in a spot where we could really see those pit stops begin at any time. We've got 55 laps to go here at Darlington. They could pit here and make it to the end, but the only downside is if you pit here, you're going to lose at least 1 lap just with as long as the pit lane is. It's it's a really slow, long drive down pit road. And then if a caution does end up coming out, it could absolutely ruin your race.
Yeah, as Jake Mockey is going to bring it in here, but he is about 20 laps off the pace. So just trying to get that car fixed up, trying to make a few laps at a time. He is only a few laps behind James Barker, who's back on the racetrack. So those two are going to be racing for a top 20. Looks like Jake Miller is taking it behind the wall as well. So as a few drivers continue to make laps, they can try and gain some valuable points. As Adam Cabot is going to pull off first. He's going to start the pit cycle in the number 17.
Right, you are correct. Adam Cabot will be the first driver to bring it down pit road. Darlington, one of the more difficult pit roads to get onto as well. So we'll see how these drivers navigate that here this evening and how they're able to get on and off a pit road. And it looks like your race leader, Brody Hayes, he is slowing up to make his way down pit road as well. And for the first time this evening, that is going to hand the race lead to somebody other than Hayes. Is, man, getting a little bit close to the end of those pit barrels there. Thought he might have made a mistake there for just a moment, but does a nice job getting on the pit lane. So, you know, you talked about the pit strategy for Seth Hatchell. And what would he do? Well, he's got 5 seconds over the next closest car, and Jeff Wright there now in the second position. I almost feel like since he wasn't able to be the first one on the pit road, if you're Hatchell, well, I was getting ready to say it might be beneficial to run it long now, but he's going to say, I'm going to go ahead and prove the commentator wrong, and I'm going to bring it down on the pit road this lap.
Yeah, and that'll hand the lead to Jeff Wright for the first time tonight. So a few different leaders, so it's not going to be the same situation as New Hampshire. We didn't really get this situation last week. And
Jeff Wright got into the wall there.
Yeah, knocking it down in 1 and 2. That's going to cost him a bit of time. Bailey Turner trying to close back up. He's got Keith Mayato and Eric Hutton all over his back bumper. These guys have got to be communicating with each other about who's pitting, and it looks like Eric Hutton, hard on the brakes, going to pull it down towards pit lane. And does a nice job doing so. Looking.
Oh, yellow flag is out. Dallas Sullivan in the 46 is around in the middle of the pit cycle. That is going to jumble this field up big time.
Oh, my
As there was only 11 cars on the lead lap when that caution flag came out. Let's go back and take a look on the instant replay for this one. Dallas Sullivan here was running in the 10th position at the time that the caution flag came out. And it looked like he was going down to try to get on the pit road, maybe just a little bit too much rear brake dialed into the car. And when he tried to get it slowed down, that car just took off with him. I mean, that's the only thing that I can think of with where that spin started at. We watch one more time. He pulls it down to the inside, and that's right about where you would expect to see him start to get on the brakes to bring it down pit lane. But yeah, that is going to turn this field upside down, as you're going to have drivers like Adam Cabot, Ray Massey, Brody Hayes. They're all going to have to take a wave around here, and they are going to lose all of that track position that they had. This is the gift that Jeff Wright was hoping for. I mean, if he holds serve here on pit lane, he is going to have control of this race with 4 fresh tires. And, you know, you talked about it may not be the way that we anticipated him getting to the lead, but, I mean, you'll take it however you can get it.
Yeah, and it looks like Brody Hayes into his pit box was able to get back on the lead lap here, or maybe not. He's actually at the tail end of the lead lap. Heavy right front damage on the 37. So driver who has dominated this race, he's a lap down and he's got damage. So that is not what he wants to see. Seth Hatchell is going to have to take a wave around, has fresh tires. Adam Cabot looks like he's going to get the lucky dog and will probably come back in and, you know, might as well put another set of tires on it. He's got 4 laps on his right now. So, wow, big shakeup. Did not expect that to happen. And, you know, back to Dallas Sullivan going for the slide there, and huge hit in turn 3. Sometimes after that long of a run, the tires are so hot and you're not really expecting it. And if you even make any slight correction back to the right, NASCARs, you know, don't really like to turn right when they're meant to turn left on a track like this. You can feel the back end just come out from underneath you really unexpectedly. So I think that may be what happened. He probably touched the brakes, maybe turned to the right, like, you know, a few degrees, and ultimately cost him big time.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and do a quick reset on the field here, because Jeff Wright did have an extended stay on pit road to get some damage fixed. So Bailey Turner, Keith Mayato, Braxton DeWeese, Cody Atkins, and James Loveland will be your top 5. Dennis Faircloth, Eric Hutton will be in 6th and 7th. Adam Cabot showing in 8th. He did have to take the wave around, does have a little bit older tires here. Jeff Wright and Angelo Ronis will round out your top 10. They are also on fresher tires. And then behind them, taking waiver rounds with Seth Hatchell, Ray Massey, Alan Dice, and then Dallas Sullivan taking the EOL for that caution. So the field is definitely a little bit jumbled up here. As you can see, drivers still trying to sort out their positions on track because of the waiver rounds, the EOL that was issued for that, and just the different pit strategies that we've got going on here. Green flag is out there already, looking 3 wide down the front straightaway, just past the start finish line. Bit of a discombobulated restart there, but all of that said, it shakes out with the 24 of Bailey Turner, now your race leader. Keith Mayato in second. And what about Braxton DeWeese on the comeback trail here? We talked about how he had that restart back all the way in 19th, gets the caution he needed with playing the long game on the pit cycle, and he's now back up in a podium position.
Yeah, very impressive, and obviously took a little luck to fall his way to get back up here in the top 5, but he was very good on the long run. That last time around had learned a little bit, and he is right on the tail end of that is Keith Mayato, the 36 machine. And yeah, really nice recovery for the 00. And this is such a huge shakeup. I just can't believe that things have turned out the way they are. I mean, we saw James Loveland smack the wall, lose 5 or 6 spots just 10 laps ago, and now he's up here running in the top 5. Dennis Faircloth has been kind of outside the top 10 for a lot of this race, or right around the top 10, and now up here in 6th. Eric Hutton, one of those guys we saw have really good long run speed and was actually closing up on Bailey Turner. Keep an eye on Eric Hutton. This could fall right into his lap.
Yeah, it could definitely work out in his favor here. I'm also going to be curious to see how the 17 of Adam Cabot is going to fare with trying to get back up through this field. I mean, he was able to pretty well match the 37 of Brody Hayes on overall pace for a lot of the race. I mean, it's Jeff Wright. Huge hit to the wall there for the 48. Wow, that is going to be a big one there for him. And got to think that there's some pretty substantial damage there as the yellow flag is out. That's the 36 of Keith Mayato is around. I believe the 00 of Braxton DeWeese may have gotten a piece of that also. But that is going to put us under the yellow flag here with just over 40 laps to go. Let's go back and cue this up. These two drivers were battling for the second position. DeWeese on the inside. It's down into the turn. And yeah, that was just a wrong place, wrong time for both of those guys, because I think that Braxton DeWeese was going to be making contact with the 36 of Mayato regardless. But then when Keith gets up and gets into the wall, he kind of pulls off of it just a little bit there and comes down into the 00. But I think that DeWeese was going to be getting into him regardless there.
Yeah, really good job by the rest of the field to avoid. Looks like maybe Adam Cabot got close to getting the outside wall, but this is going to help some of those guys who were off cycle or it didn't work out for with the timing of that caution. They're going to be able to maybe close back up, put some fresh tires on it. And Seth Hatchell and Jeff Wright have stayed out on the racetrack. Brody Hayes going to get the lucky dog here, so he'll get back on the lead lap. Only 15 drivers remaining on the lead lap. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this one shakes out here.
Yeah, and Jeff Wright staying out kind of puzzles me a little bit. We saw on that last caution, he ended up staying on pit road for a while to get some damage fixed where he had gotten into the wall. We saw that big hit to the wall that he had just a few laps ago. So I'm a little bit curious if maybe he'll elect to come down the next time around. But, I mean, it looks like he's deciding to stay out. So electing to take the track position here, which, I mean, I honestly can't fault him for. It seems like the track position is the name of the game here this evening. And Seth Hatchell, just 9 laps on his tires, although he does have some caution laps in there as well. So he's really only got about 3 or 4 green flag laps on his tires. I think that's a good move for him to stay out. That's going to put Bailey Turner, Braxton DeWeese, and Cody Atkins as your top 5. And, shout out to Cody Atkins, too. He did one heck of a job missing that incident on that last wreck between the 00 and the 36. I mean, he was right there. He could have easily gotten caught up in it, but Nice job by the 55 to miss that one. Then you got James Loveland, Eric Hutton, Dennis Faircloth, Keith Mayato, and Ray Massey as your top 10 as we get ready to go back green. So it'll be interesting to see how these little bit older tires and possibly that a little bit of damage there on the 48, how those hold up here.
Yeah, this could work out pretty well for Seth Hatchell, who is really good on the long run. If he can get to the lead, get that clean air, could kind of get himself a little bit of a gap. But now you've got Bailey Turner and Braxton DeWeese behind him on the fresh rubber. We'll see how much of an advantage. I mean, 8 laps is, fairly significant, especially at the front end of the run. At the tail end, I think Hatchell will fairly, even out with those guys, but he's got to take advantage on this restart here.
Yeah, the biggest thing is if he can hold serve for about the first 3 or 4 laps, I think it'll equalize where he can maintain that track position, but it's going to be getting to that point. So we'll see how it works out for this front row. It's a green flag is back out in the air. Really good launch there for Jeff Wright. He is already clear. Bailey Turner right on his back bumper, trying to find a way around. He gets into second. We'll see if he's got anything for the race leader of Jeff Wright. But Seth Hatchell rather able to maintain at least the 3rd position here. Does a nice job of hanging on to that, and a little bit further back, I believe that is the 88 of Eric Hutton that was making a big move down the back straightaway. He's got himself up into the 6th position.
Yeah, and Keith Mayato goes to the inside of Dennis Faircloth here. He's trying to recover after getting turned around to cause the caution. He will make that pass, gets up to the 8th position, and man, some of these guys really pushing hard right now with only 40 laps to go. There's Adam Cabot getting around Alan Dice, working his way back towards the top 10. Keep an eye on Brody Hayes back in 14th, someone who might try and flip strategy if we get a caution in another handful of laps. He's there towards the tail end of the lead lap and has dominated this race, but finds himself in a position it's going to be tough to win from.
Yeah, Brody Hayes got the free pass on that last caution, got himself back on the lead lap, but still certainly with his work cut out for him as he currently runs in that 14th position. And, you talked about the damage on the front of that car as well, where we did see him come down and get some of that fixed. We don't know how much he has that it may be affecting the handling of that 37, but I mean, for as fast as he was earlier, I would have thought that he might be able to just start driving his way back up through the field now that he's back on the lead lap. But it certainly looks like there is some pace loss out of the 37 at this point, just with where he's running at relative in the field. Would have expected him to maybe start to pull away from that group a little bit. But back up here at the front of the pack, Braxton DeWeese starting to put some pressure on the 8 of Seth Hatchell for the 3rd position, trying to get himself up into a podium spot, looking to the inside. I believe Seth is just going to give him some room here, let him go, and put Braxton DeWeese back up into a podium position here as the comeback drive continues. And there goes Eric Hutton back behind them. He's making a pass on Cody Atkins, looking to the inside, trying to take away that 5th position. Hutton trying to get himself back up in this mix as well.
Yeah, and he's been very good on the long run, has probably passed the most cars here tonight, trying to get into the top 5 now. He will complete the pass into turn 1. James Loveland looked like he was maybe going to take a peek. Also to note, Adam Cabot caught the wall pretty hard the last time around off turn number 2. He gets it a little bit again that time, but he is wheeling that car, trying to make lap time and trying to gain some of these positions back. And he's right on the back bumper, follows the 83 into the outside wall of turn 3. And again into the wall in turn 4. Again. Yeah, he is loving the lady in black here tonight.
And this is a position he hasn't really been in to this point in the race. He had been up there in, I think he had even been no lower than 2nd to this point in the race before the caution in the middle of the pit cycle. So dealing with that dirty air is not something that he really had to do, and just not loving the balance on his car now back in that dirty air as he does get to the inside of Dennis Faircloth here down the front straightaway. I believe Dennis is just going to let him go back off, yield the position. So put Adam Cabot back up into 9th, trying to continue his drive back up through the field. as I think he's hit the wall just about exit of every turn here for the last 3 or 4 laps that we've been watching him. So for his sake, let's watch somebody else here for a moment, as we've got plenty of battles going on throughout the field right now.
Yeah, I think everybody is hitting the wall here this late in the race, pushing it as hard as they possibly can. Seth Hatchell on the tire deficit and no clean air, really feeling the effects of that. Eric Hutton's been able to close up. Cody Adkins is right behind him, as that is Bailey Turner bouncing it off of turn number 2. And the 00 Braxton DeWeese just a couple of car lengths behind, gets a nice wide entry into the corner, trying to build up the momentum through 3 and 4. And we'll see what he's able to do on the front stretch. Nice run, but just a couple of car lengths back from Bailey Turner. But that battle for second could be developing, and keep an eye on the 00 to track down Jeff Wright.
Yeah, they are definitely putting down some fast lap times right now. Still running in the 29.8s for the leader, Jeff Wright. Most of the rest of the field in the 29.9s. So, I questioned the decision by Jeff Wright to stay out there, but I mean, more and more as we get into this race with the track temp cooling off, it seems like that is the call to make, and it's turning out to be the right call. But Jeff Wright here, I mean, he's still dragging the fence in 1 and 2 just about every time they get through there. Speaking of dragging the fence, that was Eric Hutton that got big into the wall off of turn number 2, trying to get a run on Seth Hatchell for that number 4 position. Got a good battle there for 4th. Good battle shaping up here for the 2nd position. Braxton DeWeese finally gets the run that he needs and clears through into the 2nd position. So now nothing between Braxton DeWeese and Jeff Wright, except for air and opportunity. So I really want to see what kind of pace this 00 has right now. It seemed like maybe he was getting held up just a little bit by the 24. He's got 7-lap fresher tires than Jeff Wright. Probably has a car that's in a little bit better shape compared to how many times we've seen the 48 make contact with the wall. But see if he can make any inroads here.
Already creating a little bit of separation back to Bailey Turner, and the gap starting to shrink just a tiny bit up to the 48. Everybody else behind pretty much stabilized here. Cody Adkins has some pressure from James Loveland and Keith Mayato. Big hit to the outside wall of turn number 3. And Adam Cabot going to try and complete the pass off 4. He will take that spot away. So we've got about the top 12 cars all within 5 seconds and spaced out by a few car lengths apiece. Then you got to go a ways back to Angelo Ronas, who is trying to just salvage what he can here tonight. Obviously has heavy damage on the 22. Brody Hayes has not been able to do anything back here in 14th. Has some serious, suspension damage or something definitely off on that machine. So unfortunate way for his race to go after leading the first 80 plus laps.
Yeah, really unfortunate for him. I mean, started on pole, absolutely dominated this race, but Adam Cabot now up into the 7th position. He was able to get around Keith Mayato. He made the pass on Cody Atkins, still using every inch of the racetrack on corner exit. Battle for the lead is shaping up, though. Braxton DeWeese has caught the 48 of Jeff Wright in pretty quick fashion here, and he is right on the back bumper of that 48 car. Take a look on board here with the 00 of Braxton DeWeese. Trying to find any clean air that he can, as he is definitely in the dirty air of the 48 right now. Jeff Wright doing a nice job just trying to take away whatever lane it is that the 00 is wanting to run. But man, Jeff Wright is going to have his work cut out for him for the next 25 laps to try to hang on to this race win.
Yeah, and I just wonder if the 00 Braxton DeWeese is pushed a little too hard to get up here and maybe use the tire advantage off to try and complete the pass. But as I say that, he gets a great run off too. He's going to look to the inside into turn number 3. Battle for the lead.
Battle for the lead with DeWeese on the bottom, and he got Jeff Wright up on the top. Is DeWeese going to be able to find the momentum that he needs? He's still right there, tries to side draft a little down the front straightaway. Not quite close enough to complete the pass. He's going to have to try to set it up again. That was the best opportunity that he's had to this point. See him scrub the wall just a little bit there in turns 1 and 2. but the 00 is putting the pressure on here for the race win. And just slowly but surely, that is allowing Bailey Turner and Eric Hutton to close in on this battle as well. The gap from third now down to 0.6 of a second. And if Braxton DeWeese gets up there and starts putting the pressure on Jeff Wright side by side again, this could very easily turn into a 3 or possibly even a 4-car battle for the race lead.
Yeah, you can't count anybody out at this point. The 48 starting to fade as the run goes on. The 00 right on the back bumper. Couple of lap machines up the road. Also to note, Brody Hayes had brought it to pit road. He's going to go a few laps down. Extended stay for the 37. So this may be the end of his competitive night. And he still sits on pit road going another lap down. And Jeff Wright feeling that pressure from the 00. Good run through 1 and 2. This time able to stretch it out a couple of car lengths. But Bailey Turner, Eric Hutton, Seth Hatchell, James Loveland, Adam Cabot, all those guys starting to close in.
Yeah, and the thing that I liked out of Braxton DeWeese the last time over in turns 3 and 4, when he had that run down the back straightaway, he showed something a little bit different. He tried to go to the outside, set up that run, just putting something in the back of Jeff Wright's mind to say, you can't really guess which lane I'm going to take as the 00 gets into the wall there through turns 1 and 2, loses a little bit more time through the center of the turn. And back behind them, Eric Hutton was looking to the inside of Bailey Turner, not quite able to get the momentum that he needs. And now that's going to open the door for Seth Hatchell to take a look. I mean, we have got battles all over the place within the top 5 right now.
Yeah, it's a little bit different than what we saw for a lot of this race, where it was kind of, follow the car in front of you and hope you don't hit the wall. These guys now on the slightly different tire strategy, it has shaken everything up. The lap machine of Michael Jones out in front of Jeff Wright starting to play a factor with the dirty air, or he will start to play a factor. We'll see what Michael elects to do on the front straightaway. This will provide a little draft to the 48 for the moment, but in the corners, it is not going to help him. What can Braxton do to try and close in with the laps winding down?
One, especially over here in 1 and 2, it could really hurt the turn for the 48. It looked like Jeff Wright had to check up just a bit on corner exit there with where he caught the 2 of Michael Jones. Didn't lose a ton of time though, and if anything, maybe even stretched the lead just a little bit down the back straightaway. Jeff Wright now has the lead back up over a half a second. And I mean, I just shout out to him. I thought for sure once Braxton DeWeese got up there and got on the back bumper that he would be able to get around that 48, but Jeff Wright has done everything he needs to do and is now starting to pull back away from the 00.
Yeah, very impressive stint here for the 48. 29 laps led, coming up 30, and under 20 laps to go. Nobody really seeming to close back in, so he maybe was saving just a little bit there. He's really stabilized here, about 30.2 seconds per lap, and most of the top 5, top 6 running within that range. So it's going to be tough to close in if you're running the same lap times, unless we see something significant happen to the tires of the 48 over the next 5 or 10 laps. It may be his race to lose.
Well, third on back is still very much up in the air right now. So you can see Bailey Turner there is holding on to it, but he's got Eric Hutton, Seth Hatchell, Adam Cabot, and even James Loveland there pretty close. And all of those drivers, I think Bailey Turner might be holding them up just a little bit, but it's just so hard to complete that pass as they navigate around the 2 of Michael Jones here. Looks like that's going to give Bailey Turner just a moment of reprieve as they try to get around there. They were looking 3 wide for just a moment. Michael Jones up in the wall on the top side here. Adam Cabot thinking about 3 wide on the bottom. He ends up backing out of it. But the 8 of Seth Hatchell very much under fire now from Adam Cabot.
Yeah, it looked like Cabot pushed the 2 down into the corner faster than he wanted to go, and then Michael Jones somehow made time running the wall. And that got to be a pretty hairy situation, but they all survive it. And it does space them out quite a bit because they were stacked up on the back bumper of the 24 machine pretty tightly. And this group of cars now has lost quite a bit of time to Jeff Wright and Braxton DeWeese. And Braxton not able to keep up with the 48. He ran, right in the tire tracks for a few laps. And I think that has cost him dearly here on the backside of this run. He's probably going to be hoping there's some type of yellow to reset things, get some fresh tires on it. He's been good, on fresh tires as well as on the long run, but obviously used a little bit too much of them here.
Yeah, and I think if you're Braxton DeWeese, you had to kind of go for it there. You were starting to make time on the 48 of Jeff Wright. If you just wait, we know how good Jeff Wright is on long runs. I think he had to try to get ahead of him, try to get control of the race, take that clean air away. So I can't fault the strategy there out of the 00 for trying to get control of the race, but we'll see if he can find a little bit of speed here in the closing laps. Battle for third is back on here between Bailey Turner and Eric Hutton. Both of those drivers getting ready to get down into turn 1 and 2. And I mean, Eric Hutton, what more can you say about the night that he's had? Up 14 spots from where he started. He lost a little bit of track position with the pit cycle, ends up gaining it back and then some, and just a really strong run out of that 88. Big run down the back straightaway. Bailey Turner playing a little bit of defense here. Eric Hutton not able to quite find a way around just yet. And this battle has allowed Seth Hatchell and Adam Cabot to close in, as well as now Hatchell looking to the inside of Eric Hutton.
Yeah, it takes a peek down into turn number 1. Nobody is lifting here. Hatchell still alongside. This is going to get really tight on the exit of turn number 2. And it looks like Hutton almost catches the wall. That's going to allow the 8 machine and the 17 of Adam Cabot is going to come on through. Cabot with a huge run. He's going to try and get the spot from Hatchell. Nearly gets
Cabot
into him.
Gets tight. Oh, he almost got into the 8 of Hatchell, but able to keep it off of him. That was almost a 2-for-1 that Cabot needed to try to get up there and possibly get back onto the podium, but just not quite able to make that move stick getting into turn 3 and 4. I mean, kudos to him for sending it. That almost worked out there for him, but man, that was a big moment there that could have taken out some race cars, but nice job for everybody to navigate through it. And, something that I'm keeping an eye on here is that battle for the race lead. The last couple of laps, Braxton DeWeese has been just a little bit faster. The previous lap here just even back out. But the 2 or 3 laps before that, DeWeese had been about a tenth to a tenth and a half faster than Jeff Wright.
Yeah, it looks like it's somewhat stabilized here. Jeff Wright able to extend it just a bit down into turn number 3. He's been better, I think, on the front end of the racetrack, and then I think Braxton's just a little bit faster over here in 3 and 4. That proves to be true again, but overall, Jeff Wright faster that lap, and things going on behind. Bailey Turner has just been under fire for this whole run of 35 laps, and Seth Hatchell, even at a tire disadvantage, has found pace on the long run like we had seen, and right here trying to get back into third. He's doing what he can to try and close the points gap up to Adam Cabot. Remember, he came in just about 9 points back, and Cabot right there behind him. Hatchell trying to put another spot between him and the 17, but got his work cut out for him. Now the lead battle over 1 second, Jeff Wright and Braxton DeWeese.
Yeah, and one thing's for certain, if we end up talking to Bailey Turner after this race as one of our podium finishers, he has absolutely earned that interview here tonight, especially in these last 15 laps or so. I mean, he has been under fire from different drivers. He has had all kinds of pressure on the back bumper of that 24 as here comes Seth Hatchell now run to the outside. This may be the move that Hatchell has been waiting for. He'll have the outside lane here. He'll have the preferred groove. A little bit of momentum tight between the two of them, but Hatchell able to clear through. But here comes Adam Cabot. He's going to follow through as well for fourth.
I don't know how many times this season the teammates have gotten together there. He nearly got into Bailey Turner to turn him around, but able to complete the pass. So Cabot continues his march back forward. Did see a battle going on a little further back. I believe that was Cody Adkins, maybe Alan Dice with him. There was a very, very tight battle for a moment. So those two, as Cody slams the wall in turn 1.
Yeah, big hit to the wall there for the 55 of Cody Adkins. Just trying to hang on for these last 5 laps. These drivers definitely starting to struggle for grip here. You talked about it. There is no saving on this run of the race. Everybody's just pretty well going for it at this point. You've got what you've got. 4 laps to go. The 48 of Jeff Wright in absolute control of this race. Started in 7th, led 43 laps, but man, he had to play the strategy game to get to that #1 spot. But once he got there, he has kept an absolute stranglehold on this race lead.
Yeah, he did an excellent job holding off Braxton DeWeese, who had one shot at it and just could not get it done. You know, even the way that his car has kind of fallen off in this run, I think it might have been, Jeff Wright closing back in, and we could have had quite the battle there, if the 00 had completed that. But one lap machine up the road could play a factor here, but the gap's still about 9/10 of a second, and Braxton DeWeese is going to have to try every trick in the book to get up there.
Yeah, and still staying just close enough that if the 48 of Jeff Wright makes any kind of mistake, he'll be there to try to capitalize on it. The fastest car on track these last few laps, at least taking a look at our top 5, has been Seth Hatchell. He's been running about 2 tenths or so, 1.5 to 2 tenths faster than both of the race leaders. But unfortunately, just going to be a little too late there for the 8 car to be able to get up and mount a challenge for the win. But the white flag is in the air for the 48 of Jeff Wright. He's got one more lap around to bring home his first win of the season here in BTDY. And what a win it would be. Just a gritty win here at a racetrack that really rewards that type of drive. One more time through turns 3 and 4 here for the 48 of Jeff Wright. Just has to keep it clean. Braxton DeWeese too far back to be able to mount a challenge. The nighttime is the right time here at Darlington. Jeff Wright is going to get the win at the Lady in Black.
And battle back here just inside the top 10. Keith Mayato, Eric Hutton. That was a close battle. And it's going to go to Eric Hutton. Mayato going to finish behind him. Battle coming to the line here. Dennis Faircloth and Angelo Ronis. And Angelo, for a moment there, looked like he was going to try and rub doors with the 83, but clean battle to the line. Dennis Faircloth will finish in the 12th position. A bunch of battles to close things out. And, ooh, contact between the teammates at the front.
Yeah, I think that might have been, I know they are teammates, and I'm sure they were trying to be a little congratulatory there, but that may have been a little too rough there for a congratulatory bump. But hey, we've seen the 48 put the car in the wall in real life after he's won before. I'm not saying, I'm just saying back to the Jimmy Johnson days. A little bit of a throwback there, but the 48 Jeff Wright, well-earned victory. He's going to burn it down here on the front straightaway and celebrate this one. While he finishes up his celebration, we're going to take a quick commercial break, let you hear from some of our great league sponsors. We'll be right back with your full race results, as well as a word from our top 3 finishers.
At Cynthia Rogers, MD Dermatology, we specialize in providing comprehensive expert care for the full spectrum of skin conditions, from complex skin diseases and skin cancer to aging concerns and aesthetic needs. With decades of combined experience in medical, surgical, and aesthetic dermatology, our team brings both deep clinical knowledge and a patient-first approach to every visit. Our practice focuses on developing personalized treatment plans tailored to each individual's skin, health, and life stage. We're located in Port St. Lucie, Florida, in the PSL Professional Center. Learn more or schedule a visit at floridaskindoctor.com.
STEELE Graphics and Designs creates custom racing wraps and logos built for the real world and iRacing. From bold liveries to clean, professional branding, every design is made to perform on and off the track. Ready to upgrade your look? Contact STEELE Graphics and Designs for custom wraps. Visit STEELE Graphics and Designs on Facebook to learn more.
Backed by 70 years of experience, Duncan Water Systems specializes in commercial and residential water system testing, design, installation, and maintenance. Our mission at Duncan Water Systems is to provide high-quality water solutions to every customer. We pride ourselves on being responsive, honest, and customer-oriented. Our priority is safer water for you and your family. Contact us via call, text, email, or visit us at duncanwatersystems.com.
Welcome back to Darlington Raceway here at the STEELE Graphics and Design 185. We'll go ahead and take a look at your full race results here this evening. Jeff Wright starts 7th, ends up in P1. He is your race winner. Braxton DeWeese, what a great recovery for him. 1 point was back in 19th, comes home in P2. And then Seth Hatchell rounding out your podium. We'll hear from those three drivers here in just a moment. Adam Cabot, after getting bitten during the pit cycle, he's going to recover to finish in P4. Bailey Turner comes home in the 5th position. Eric Hutton is in P6 here this evening. Keith Mayato in 7th. James Loveland 8th. Ray Massey 9th. And rounding out your top 10 is the 55 of Cody Adkins.
Finishing 11th here tonight, it's Alan Dice. 12th is Dennis Fairclough. 13th, Angelo Ronis. That was a drag race to the line between those two for the last couple of positions on the lead lap. Dallas Sullivan, after a hard hit there, he'll come home 14th. Paul Hahn finishing in the 15th spot tonight. Michael Jones comes home in 16th. Chris Samard 17th, 7 laps off the pace. Not sure what happened to the 77 there. Brody Hayes, after dominating the early portion of this race, he'll come home in the 18th position after ending his night early. James Barker finishing in the 19th spot. Jake Mockey going to round out your top 20. In 21st, it was Jake Miller. 22nd, Rob Liedel. 23rd, Zach Smith. And Thomas Brendel going to round out your field in 23rd.
There you have it for the full race results. Let's go ahead and get a word with our top 3 finishers, starting with the 3rd place finisher, Seth Hatchell. This is Daniel up in the VSPEED booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Well, man, really solid run here for you this evening. I know the box score is going to say you started 3rd, finished 3rd, but there was a ton that happened in between. Just what do you feel like you needed there? It seemed like that no matter what point of the race we were, sometimes you were fighting track position, sometimes you were fighting just not necessarily having the raw pace of somebody like a Brody Hayes early on. What did you need to be able to get up there and get that number 1 spot this evening?
Just clean air more than anything. You know, I think you saw a couple times tonight guys to be a bit further back in the field and a caution or strategy or whatnot, put them up at the front, and suddenly they're fastest car on track. I felt like I had really good pace. You know, at times I felt like I was a tenth quicker than the field. It was just a matter of having that clean air ahead of you. You know, I was only running that quick when the next guy ahead of me was, you know, second and a half up the road. You just get to 4/10 or so, and especially in 3 and 4, it just wouldn't turn. You just had to wait on it so much longer. Good run nonetheless, but definitely disappointing with the speed we had today.
Well, that last run there, especially once you cleared through for the 3rd position, you were running lap times that were anywhere from 2 to 3/10 faster than both of the top 2 finishers. Do you feel like if you would have had that track position a little bit sooner, you could have got up there and maybe got around both of those guys?
I definitely could have challenged. It's so hard to pass. You know, I tend to try and make my passes clean if I can manage it. So I think if to pass somebody, especially for the lead, racing that hard, probably have to get into them. It'd just be super hard. But definitely would have liked, you know, even just another 10 laps. I think I would have had a good shot at second, but definitely felt like I had the pace to win tonight.
Well, still a really solid run for you. Just continue showing that consistency here throughout the entire season. I know you're probably tired of hearing good points night, but it was a good points night for you. And just you keep knocking on the door. Have a feeling that win is going to be right around the corner for you. But before we let you go here this evening, Seth, who do you want to thank? Any shout outs for this one?
I want to thank you guys doing a great job in the broadcast, letting everybody watch at home, see all the great driving we do tonight. Especially as it can be in the car. I know it can be real fun to watch, so I appreciate that. Got to thank STEELE Graphics and Design hopping on board for the race tonight and the deal they're doing for the throwback schemes. That's cool of them. All the sponsors of the league letting us do what we do. Cody, all the admins, All the drivers putting on a great race for everybody to watch, and my team VSPEED.
Well, there you have it from our third place finisher, Seth Hatchell. Congrats again on the strong run, and we will see you next week at Vegas.
All right, thank you guys.
Let's go ahead and get a word from our second place finisher, Adam Baker. I believe you have caught up with Braxton DeWeese.
Yes, sir. Braxton, this is Adam and Daniel in the booth. You got us?
I gotcha.
Well, Braxton, you had some good speed here tonight. Had to overcome getting set back in the field all the way back to 19th at one point. You come home second here tonight. You were up there battling for the lead. Just talk about your recovery here tonight, trying to battle and get that win here.
I felt pretty good going into this race. I always feel pretty good running at Darlington. It's honestly my favorite track to run at. Messed up my qualifying lap on the second lap, and my first lap was kind of just my warm-up lap, and was able to get the fourth with that, so I was happy with that because the track is huge here. Definitely seen the speeding definitely set us back there, but right as we were coming down pit road, caution out back to the right, I actually ended up spinning, but I got it back going, and we ended up restarting third after getting off pit road and gaining a spot there, and that definitely helped. Just able to get around second and try to go for the lead, but ultimately couldn't get it done. We had that one opportunity there, and we got side by side, and we needed a real good run going down this straightaway, or at least be side by side with them to have a little bit of an opportunity going into one. But we'll learn for next time and try to see if we can do any better next time.
Yeah, definitely showed some really good speed at the tracks where tire wear is important. So, that's got to be a good confidence booster. When we go to Las Vegas next week, how do you feel about going out there?
I just ran out there not too long ago in a league race and did all right. So track position and dirty air is definitely two big factors in this car in general, no matter where you go, pretty much. A road course or a super speedway, but it's just going to be all about having that good quality effort and marks and get up there, speed, and catch a car.
Yeah, you've had a great first 7 races of the season, came in here third in points, maybe gained a few on the drivers in front of you in the standings. So should be interesting going into Vegas next week to see how things continue to develop as we get towards the chase. Anybody you want to give a shout out to for second place here tonight at Darlington?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a big shout out to Interstate Forward, 3 Fast Crew Shop, Allen's Arts and Majestic Time, Elevated TV, Paid Leave, Wooden Nickel Band, Tires Media, Evan Pinetta Designs, Phillips Wraps Graphics, did the Tower Pizza, Winchester, Indiana. They serve pizza at Winchester Speedway and help us roadster fellows. Also, shout out to Brandon Oakley Race Cars. It's been a hell of a time working there for over the past week, and look forward to learning all over there and hopefully applying it to real life. So we'll try to go to Las Vegas and try to be one spot better. Try to go for the win like always, but hopefully I'll take care and see you.
Awesome, Braxton. Thanks for the time here. Congrats on the runner-up tonight, and we will catch you next week at Las Vegas. That is your second place finisher, Braxton DeWeese. We're now headed to the winner's circle, and that is going to be Mr. Jeff Wright alongside you, Daniel Cunningham.
I've got Jeff Wright, the man of the evening. This is Daniel and Adam up in the booth. You got us?
I got you guys.
Man, you definitely earned that one tonight. You had that battle there with Braxton DeWeese. You had to overcome, the pit cycle. You had to overcome some damage on the car. I'm not going to lie. I was questioning the decision when you decided to stay out because we saw you get into the wall pretty hard right before that final caution. I thought maybe the damage might slow you down a little bit, but that's why I'm up here and you're behind the wheel. Talk a little bit about that decision to stay out and just how much damage did you have and how much was it affecting the car there on that last run?
Well, first off, Daniel, I'll say I agree with you. I didn't have a clue if it was going to work either, but I just knew how important, the dirty air and clean air, how much it affected the cars tonight. And it was just absolutely insane. If you were running 7th, you're going to be just about 7th all night. It seemed like it was so hard to make a pass. And we got fortunate with that first pit cycle there. We cycled to the lead, and what do? We go to pit lane and we speed. So we go to the back and caught a caution after about 5 laps in it. And so I was just, kind of throwing a Hail Mary there. I was like, well, maybe I'll stay out here, and who knows, maybe the clean air will be, just powerful enough to keep us out front. And it certainly was. Braxton, put up a great battle and, pressured me for sure. He raced me really clean. Raced with him across a few different leagues, and Braxton's always really, really fast, but he'll race you clean too. So I appreciate that for him. But that's really all I got to say about how we got this done tonight. I think it was the clean air in the right place at the right time. But hey, we'll take it.
Well, you definitely earned that one. And, we saw the 0-0 Braxton DeWeese get up there and put some pressure on you about halfway through that final run. Just what was your mindset trying to hold him off? Were you kind of, I don't want to say mirror driving, because I know people look at that in a negative way, but I mean, it's basically what you got to do with these next gens sometimes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, that's really the only thing you can do, especially being on a slight tire deficit there. But so I just try to back up the corners a little bit. Just really focus in on not overdriving the car. I knew as long as I could just keep the car in front of him, it was going to be really tough for him to make a pass. And I think he used up a little bit of tire trying to get around the 24 a little bit there of Bailey Turner. So I think by the time he got to us, he had already had to push his stuff probably more than he wanted to, and then. Yeah, once he got to me, it was just a matter of letting the dirty air do its work. And, it is incredibly frustrating to be on the other end of that in second, having that wall of air just stall you out. And, it makes you want to sometimes get the bumper out and try to nudge him out of the way. But, Braxton's a clean racer, and he obviously battled me hard, and we got side by side for a little bit. I thought he might have me there for a second, but it was just enough to keep us out front and get the win tonight.
Well, really awesome job here getting the win. And I'm kind of having to laugh a little bit here. I'm seeing what's playing on the broadcast, that it's the congratulatory bump gone wrong from teammate Bailey Turner there on the cool down lap. So good job on the win, though. Congrats. You definitely earned this one. Before we let you go, who you want to thank? Any sponsors or shout outs?
Yeah, just big thanks to the league, all the admins that put this thing on: Alan Dice, Cody Atkins, Dallas Sullivan, Zachary Smith. Appreciate all they do to give us a place to race here on Tuesday night. I haven't been able to make as much races as I would have liked to so far this season, but cool to be back from Daytona, and kind of had one fall in our lap tonight. I'm not gonna, there's really no way around that, but super fun racing with these guys. Everybody's so quick. Adam Cabot was really strong tonight. Brody Hayes led a lot of laps. Seth Hatchell, I think, was maybe the only car that was actually passing cars in dirty air. So that was impressive to see. And yeah, just thanks to everybody involved. Thank you, VSPEED. Thank you, Daniel and Adam up in the booth. You guys do great work, and we'll hopefully be maybe talking to you more here on Tuesday night soon.
All right. Well, good to see you back out there. Congrats again on the win, and hopefully we'll see you next week at Vegas.
All right. Sounds good. Appreciate it, guys.
There you have it from our top 3 finishers. And Adam, what a race we saw here this evening. I mean, Darlington never disappoints. It is one of the best tracks in all of NASCAR. It's my personal favorite on iRacing. I know I've said that more than once here this evening, but really showed why tonight. I mean, it just challenges the drivers. It puts on a lot of great racing, a lot of side-by-side racing, and it just allows for a lot of different strategies to take place. Just overall, I mean, it's Darlington. You got to love it.
Oh yeah, definitely one of my favorites. Very entertaining to watch. No matter how the race goes, it is such a battle for these drivers out there each and every lap, and that they're really working for it. So that's cool to see. And we saw some great battles, some great action, as we always do in BTDY, and Jeff Wright coming away with a nice victory there, and some really good recoveries from a few of these drivers who had kind of adversity to face them at some point during the race. So nice to see a few guys make it back up there in the top 5, or have a good solid finish maybe for the first time this season. A few guys out there, just around the top 10, maybe getting their first top 10 of the season. So that's cool to see as well. But a lot of fun as always here in BTDY.
Yeah, absolutely. Love to see the racing over here. And next week, it's going to be another good one as we head out west to Las Vegas Motor Speedway, track that always seems to put on really good racing, especially in the next gen. It just seems like this car is tailor-made for that track. And we will have all the action live right here next week on VSPEED for that one at Vegas as well. But that's going to do it for our coverage here this evening. So on behalf of all the admins here at BTDY, for everybody at VSPEED, including Bradley Cooper, Morgan Cook, Eddie Smith, and of course you up here as well, Adam. Appreciate you jumping up here and taking on the dual role here every Tuesday night. And also thank you to Dougie Beard, as always, for those camera angles that we have. My name's Daniel Cunningham. Join us next week as we head out to Sin City, race number 8 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Good night, everyone.